Okay, so today we're going to go a little deeper into using Audition. After you've downloaded the project, you're just going to double click on the Audition2 Workshop file, and that will open up this project. And we will click into the editor, and you will see that it's approximately a 3-minute project. We've got some voices, some ambience, sound effects, and music. And I'm just going to, on the mouse, I'm just going to go up and down on the mouse to change the size of the tracks. And I'm going to squish the viewer a little bit. I want to be able to get a good look at the audio track. So we've got 3 characters speaking. So let's do the voice first. So we'll just solo each voice track. And we'll actually solo the ambience as well. Alright, so basically we've got a actor, each has his own track, and as you can tell the volume is rather low. If we go to the mixer level, we'll see that the high is probably minus 33. Here we have some minus 9 as our peaks. Got some minus 9 as our peaks here. Alright, so minus 9 is our peak. And so what we want to do is we want to boost that a little bit. And so what we are going to do is I'm going to go into this first track, and I'm going to click on amplitude compression, and I'm going to pick single band compressor. And we're going to set this compressor. So basically we want it to, so 9 is as high as it was going, which is actually 24 on this other side. And so basically we want to have it kick in about minus 30. And so that's when it actually is going to start kicking in, is when it gets into this zone here. And what we want to do is that we want to, when we put on a compressor, you're basically boosting the lower levels to match the higher levels. And we're going to give it a 3-to-1 boost on that. We'll leave these 2 settings the same, but we also want to boost the overall level. So I'm going to bump it up to 10. Let's see what happens there. And then I'm going to, we did it to this character here. So I'm going to then set a loop. I'm going to in and out by hitting I and O. The loop button is activated.
I guess you just didn't know it feels so incredible.
And so now we see that.
What are you trying to do? Confuse me?
So now we see that we've kind of boosted him up to the highs of approaching 0. So I'm going to pretend that I like that, and so I'm going to copy this compressor into the other 2 tracks. And so I'm going to hold down the option button, and I'm going to click and drag it over. I'm going to go back to I'm going to clear the time selection by right clicking on that area, and now we're going to watch and listen.
Excuse sir, you can't park here. I'm stopped at a stoplight. Are you questioning our authority? No, sir. I'm just stopped at a stoplight.
Alright, so now everything is kind of getting, it still sounds pretty good, and it's getting boosted much higher, so I'm digging on that. Next thing that we're going to do is we are going to add a new track, multi-track track, add stereo bus track. And we are going to drag it between the ambience and our 3 characters. And what we want to do is that we want to, and this is one of the reasons why we need to make this a little bit bigger, is right now all of our tracks go to our master channel, our master fader, which is right over here. But I want I wanted to send it to this bus tracks, and I'm going to call this bus tracks Vox for voice. That's Latin. And we are going to go and we're going to send each of these tracks to the Vox track, to the Vox bus. And then when we play back,
Step out of the car, please.
we see that our Vox bus, it's all being added together into this Vox bus, all those tracks.
You know, if I use my taser before the end of the year.
So I'm going to now boost I'm going to hold down the control, the option key, slide over, and we're going to add that same compressor.
Off my tags. Seriously? You want me to get out of the car right now? Asked and answered, sir. Okay.
All right, so now we've boosted the levels to a place where they still sound good, but we can hear them quite easily. Now, I'm going to save that. Now we want to kind of come in here and we want to listen to the gaps in the ambience and make sure everything sounds all right.
Excuse me, sir, you can't park here. I'm stopped at a stoplight. Are you questioning our authority? No, sir.
Okay, so right here there's a little bit of a gap.
No, sir.
And we can hear that gap, right? Ooh, and we can actually see the gap. So let's see what caused it. Doesn't seem like anything. So we'll just...
Are you questioning our authority? No, sir. I'm just stopped at a stoplight. Step out of the car, please.
All right. And so what we want to do is we kind of want to go through the whole track.
Just turn green. Look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. It's up to you. You know.
Okay, now we have a long gap here. Looks like we can get away with it a little bit, but if we can't, what we might need to do is we might need to go to our razor tool by hitting R and hitting Command C and pasting some of the gaps in our audio.
Look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. It's up to you. You know, if I use my taser. You.
Oh, we've got a breathing thing, so that's why that gap was originally cut out.
Wait, it's up to you. You know, if I.
All right, and so I think we need to boost this audio a little bit.
Hard way. It's up to you. You know, if I use my taser before the end of the year, I can write it off my tags. Seriously? You want me to get out of the car right now? Asked it.
And so going through this whole thing, so go ahead and work through the whole thing and kind of even out all that dialogue. And once that's done, then we could start messing with, I'm going to, in the far right, it's like the / key will reveal the whole project. Now I want to deal with the sound effects. And so I want to add another stereo bus track. We'll call that SFX. And we'll drag on the mouse to make it fat again. And so if you drag here, it changes the size of the track, and if you up and down on the mouse here, or the trackpad, it'll move you through there, all the tracks. So we want to go to we want to connect, well, I'm going to leave this one alone. I'm going to send that one still to the master. But this SFX track, I want to send it to the SFX bus as I do this one. And the other two. And the reason we want to do this is that once we start adding a whole lot of tracks and a lot of sounds, we always want our sound. The dialogue is the most important thing. And so if we have our dialogue tracks separated, then we have that whole ability to either bring down all of our sound effects tracks to make room for the dialogue, or to push up the dialogue a little bit more depending on what we've got going on. All right, so let's listen to the dialogue, and I've also put in a whole lot of car passes in those gaps of the dialogue to help make those edits disappear. And so this is basically what we're going to listen to now is all of our dialogue tracks with the dialogue.
Excuse me, sir, you can't park here. I'm stopped at a stop.
All right. So that's a pretty good start. I'm going to hit the equal sign or the plus sign to expand the track. It's the plus. And so we've got a car pass from right to left, and so we need to be able to hear that. And so basically, this yellow bar is our volume, and this blue bar is our pan. And so what we want to do is we want that pan to happen during the shot. And so let's see what we get here.
Excuse me, sir, you can't park here.
All right.
Excuse me, sir, you can't park here. I'm stopped at a stoplight.
All right. So that sounds pretty good. But if we picked wrong, we would just flip these guys over a little bit. And so what we want to do is we kind of want to put our pan kind of right through the sweet spot of our.
Excuse me, sir, you can't park here.
Right. And so that didn't sound right to my speakers, so we'll just set it like this.
Excuse me, sir, you can't park here. I'm stopped at a stoplight. Are you questioning our authority? No, sir. I'm just stopped at a stoplight. Step out of the car, please. Seriously? It just turned green. Look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. It's up to you. You know, if I use...
So I'm gonna just put this car pass. I'm gonna kind of change the angles of some of these car passes so that, and some of the sound effects to kind of create a more 3D space
It's up to you. You know, if I
with
use
stereo
my taser
panning.
before the end of the year, I can write it off my tax. Serious? My tax. Seriously? You want me to get out of the car right now? Asked and answered, sir. Okay. You need to freeze. What do you think you're doing?
All right. So now just kind of go, you know, if you want to just scroll down the rest of the project and do some more of the panning elements. And now we'll tighten all these guys up. And now the next thing that we want to do is just add a music bus track. So we'll go multi-track track, add stereo bus track, and we will call it music. And with the mouse or the trackpad, I'm going to scroll down over here, and we are going to connect to our music tracks to the music bus. Oh.
Excuse sir, you can't park here.
And we need to get out of, now that everything's working, we can come out of our solo mode. Got something still soloed. There we go.
No, sir. I'm just stopped at a stoplight. Step out of the car, please. Seriously? It just turned green. Look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. It's up to you. You know, if I use my taser before the end of the year, I can write it off my tax. Seriously? You want me to...
So I think I want the music to be a little louder, so I'm just going to boost up the bus track on it.
Get out of the car right now. Asked and answered, sir. Okay. You need to freeze. What do you think you're doing? You told me to get out of the car. No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. Maybe we did.
Okay, so there's that. There's a. Let's see. Is it this sound effect? All right. So we've got this humming. This is the idling engine. That's I'm hearing too much, and it's getting pretty annoying. We can actually pull down the volume on it, but let's fix it with a filter instead. And let's So we will go to that track, and we will go to Filter EQ, Parametric Equalizer, and we are going to turn on the low pass filter, which means we're going to be cutting some of the highs out of our project, and we're going to change the slope to -12 to curve it a little bit, and then we'll just drag it this way. Now let's turn it on and listen to it.
Okay.
You need to freeze.
So it's pretty bright here.
You told me to get out of the car.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Maybe we did.
No, you definitely did.
I guess
And now it feels a little more like it's coming from under the hood.
So do you want me out of the car or not?
What are you trying to do? Confuse me?
I'm going for backup.
All right, and if you want to, let's see, let's go to, I just heard a dog bark. Let's turn on this solo. So we can also do filters right on the clips. So right now we've just been adding filters to entire tracks, but if we turn on the clip, we see that there's a track effect, there's a clip effect. We can also add filters to an individual clip. So let's go ahead and put some reverb on that dog. Maybe it'll make him feel like far away, or maybe it'll make him sound like he's on top of a mountain. Let's go ahead, hit I for in and O for out, and we will loop that. I'm going to make it louder just for and let's see what thickener does. Okay, and then we will turn off the solo, and let's hear what it kind of says here. Here's like in the context of this world.
What do you think you're doing?
You told me to get out of the car.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Maybe we did.
No, you definitely did.
I guess we just didn't know it feels so incredible.
So do you want me out of the car or not?
What are you trying to do? Confuse me?
I'm going for backup. Do you want me in or out?
All right, so I just wanted to let you guys know about that ability to either add filters to entire tracks or to individual clips. So if we were over here, we would want to make sure that we're back into track effects when we click into here. All right, so let's say that everything is all ganged up right and we've got our mix right. The next thing that we want to do is we want to put a final master on our master bus here in order to boost the overall signal some more. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to Special, Mastering, and let's go to Subtle Clarity. So one thing in the Subtle Clarity option, it adds reverb to our entire process, so we want to make that go away. So let's just listen to what we got going. I've turned it off. I've turned it on.
We have the right not to be sexually harassed in the workplace, sir.
Although, you know, I'm kind of flattered. You need to freeze. What do you?
So in that sort of 2K vocal zone, that kind of boosts that overall volume in an interesting way. And then we also want to add a hard limiter so that we don't peak too much. And I'm going to go with -3. Let's see what -3 does when we listen to it.
Think you're doing?
You told me to get out of the car.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Maybe we did.
No, you definitely did.
I guess we just didn't know it feels so pregnant.
And that's another way to then, boost up that final signal in order to when you do your final export. So listen to the whole project. Make sure that you got the levels that you want to with the music, either in terms of individual samples or the overall, with the buses, or the individual track if you want to change the overall levels of that. All right, now all we have to do is do our final render. So we will go File, Export, Multi-Track Mixdown, Entire Session. I want to send it to our project. Final, your name. So it's going to go into that folder. Hit save. We can either make it a wave or an AIF. Either is fine. And OK. And just let it think. Play it back after the render, so that you know that it sounds right, and post it on Canvas.